Hi, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Ariel Ozick, may Zichron, and he's a volunteer in Ichud.Tzala. Ariel, tell us, explain to us in a few sentences what Ichud.Tzala is exactly.
Sure. Ichud.Tzela, or as it's known in English, United Hatzala is the National Rescue Volunteer Organization of Israel. And our goal is to get to any emergency, with medical emergency, I should say, in 90 seconds from the receipt of the call. It's composed of approximately 7,000 volunteers across the country, doctors, paramedics, EMTs, from all faiths and walks of life, who are all dedicated to saving lives in their communities and wherever they may be. We all carry GPS beepers with radio wherever we go, so we can be activated even if we're on vacation or on the road to any call that's within nearby, wherever we may be at a given time.
Okay, and about how many calls a month do you actually go to?
Depends on the month. I would say anywhere between 15 to 30, really depending on a combination of call volume and, if I'm around, or sometimes I can be out of the country or whatever.
And what do you use to get to the calls?
I have an electric bike that was donated that I use primarily around here in Zichron. And for farther calls, farther afield, if I'm in my car driving somewhere, I'll just, throw the go bag in there and take the car.
Uh-huh. And can you tell us what the training is like to become a EMT?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but absolutely, the training is I believe it's like 160 or 180 hours of frontal learning, a combination of classroom and then working with a skills section, followed by after that you go out into the field, but you're not officially certified, and you need to have I believe it's around 100 patient contacts, and meet certain criteria and pass another test before you're allowed to independently respond to calls in the field.
Okay, and can you tell us about one or two calls that you particularly remember?
Yeah, there's two calls that really kind of stand out. Just because what happens when you volunteer in your own community is you tend to treat people that or you see the people that you've treated. And so there was one there. I have a distinct memory of a heart attack in progress down the block from actually where I live, and we actually, with the help of some other responders, we were able to get him back. And that was, we were there before the ambulance got there, and that was a very rewarding call. To afterwards, I just remember, the guy made a complete recovery, and it was just kind of cool to be walking down, the street. I think it was to the bakery, and the person doesn't remember me, which I think is phenomenal. And he just, I happened to see him, and I didn't say anything, but it was just wonderful to see this person that, you had saved his life, just going about his business with his kids and everything. It was a very rewarding feeling after the fact. And another one is, we have actually very good friends whose daughter had her first ever. They discovered that she was deathly allergic to peanuts the hard way. When she was very young, she went into anaphylactic shock, which is a medical emergency immediately. And I actually didn't happen to be around, but my EpiPen was in my trunk, and we lived up the block. And so the other responders who got there were able to go to my car and grab the EpiPen, and they saved the little girl's life, because it took a while until the ambulance showed up with an EpiPen, and she's now, I think she's got to be 8 or 9. She's thriving, and it's a great thing to see. So.
Yeah. And what most surprised you about when you first started to volunteer?
Oh, what surprised me? The dedication. I think there's a lot of people who do this. There's a lot that goes into it. And the dedication at all levels of the organization, I think from the top to the bottom, to saving lives and to making sure that everyone has what they need, and the way everyone kind of looks out for each other. Like, it's kind of cliche, but it's really true. It's very much like a family. Like, I will routinely run into, we all have stickers on our cars, and you run into somebody with a sticker on their car, and you say hello, and then it's immediately like he's like your cousin that you just haven't met, right? Like, it's a wonderful feeling to me, where I've been to like Muslim wedding. It's just things I never would have even been exposed to, because there's just so many different people who all just want to who are all this common goal of, you know, let's save lives and let's better our communities, and it's actually great.
Yeah. And how do you, I mean, how do you cope with, because I think it's kind of difficult sometimes, the experience of going out to a call that might have been someone who unfortunately passed away, and then you come back to your house or your work and you have to continue like nothing's happened. Does that bother you?
Does that bother me? I mean, yeah, I think I think it bothers anybody. And I think anybody who works or volunteers in the medical field has to learn how to deal with it. I think, like you mentioned, we have a more complex problem in the sense that it's not like we're coming on or off of a shift. You know, you're 1 minute you're hanging out with your kids, the next minute you're going to do cardiac arrest, to do CPR on somebody, and then the next minute you have to come home and go back to playing with your kids. And it's a little bit yeah, that back and forth can be a little bit difficult. You learn how to deal with it. You take your time. Sometimes you come in and you say to your wife, "I'm going to need a few minutes," you know, or to your kids, say, "Give me a few minutes before I come back into the scheme of things," you know.
And you tell them about what the call was about, or
No, generally not. I mean, you know, it's not.
is that to spare them, or for private, you know, the patient's privacy?
Well, I mean, certainly they don't know who I've treated. That's a, you know, iron rule. That's not a, there's no question there. You can talk very, you know, generally about cases. I think if there are sometimes things that I think are particularly bothering me, you know, I'm married to a social worker, so sometimes I can, you know, tell her these things, or, you know, but not, you know, I don't really want them to be so exposed to these things. It's bad enough that not bad enough, but they hear it on the radio, you know, all the time about all these different, because it says what it is, and it's, you know, they try not to expose them, tell them about it too much, unless there's a learning, you know, like, you know, I'll be, you know, my son will be, I really want to get an electric bike, and I'm like, just no way, that's just not happening, because and I'll be like, how many people have I seen, you know, really hurt themselves on electric bikes here, especially his age? It's just mind blowing. So maybe sometimes I use it as a teaching method.
Okay. And what do you like most about being a volunteer?
I mean, I like a lot of things. I think I like the most is the actual getting to save lives. The actual ability to, I mean, it gives you, you know, I've been doing this for a while. Once you start doing it, it gives you like this feeling of like calm and confidence when you come into and sometimes life or death. And it's like over time, it's like a wonderful feeling to have, to know that you can come into something and make a difference, and you know what you're doing. But I think primarily the ability to save people's lives, you know, is kind of mind blowing. Like if you had told me, you know, sometimes I think about it, you know, 7 or 8 years ago that, oh yeah, I have a defibrillator in my bag, and everyone knows me, and sometimes people call me by accident instead of first calling, you know, the emergency hotline, and I have to tell them to call that first and then call me back. Is, you know, is kind of crazy.
And what do you like least about it?
What do I like least about it? You know, I don't like not being able to help people. So I think I find that challenging, that sometimes we show up to calls and we're not able to, for whatever reason, either all sorts of different reasons, you know, we just weren't able to assist somebody in their time of need. And I find that can be a little demoralizing sometimes.
Yeah. And you think that the course and the training that you receive prepares you sufficiently for taking care of people?
Yeah, I do. I mean, yes, so I thought the course was excellent. I think the required patient context and everything builds up your confidence. I mean, you know, it's been a while, but that builds up your confidence. And then I think the thing about it is it's like anything else. So you have to, if you constantly do it and constantly get exposed to new situations and constantly, and the great thing about Hatzala, especially, there's so much in-service training, right? Like we just had one last week, and there's always something new. They're always making sure that your skills are at the proper level. And so I kind of, you know, that it's not just take the course and the training, it's we're going to keep training you, and we're going to keep bringing you new equipment and keep you up to date. You know, I think if you do the training and then you don't respond to calls and you don't keep in service, I think it would be a different question. But I think with the training that I received, and the constant, and the responding to calls, and the constant ability to, you know, the constant training that we receive now, like the up-to-date training, I find that, yes, it's very good.
Okay. Well, I think we'll end it here. Thank you very much. That was That was very interesting.
My pleasure. Thank you.